Yeah, you need an initial hole. I don't care if my pants get wet. Where's the lid?
Welcome to Keep It About Ball, bitch.
Just a splash.
Shitbag lizard people.
Bro's QB2 is Aiden O'Connell.
Bucks on Peyton. Actually, when you add up the pick value, when you crunch the numbers, who the fuck's Jennifer?
All right, welcome in everyone to ZBR, the Zebra, a sports podcast by Zach, Brady, and Reed. We talk Royals, NBA, NFL, and fantasy football, mostly in reference to our Dynasty League. Shout out Hillary Does Prime. I am Zach Z, the Zebra the Z in the Zebra, and I'm of course here with Brady, the B in the ZBR, and we are lacking the hard R tonight. And Reed, Brady, how's it going, man?
I'm doing good. Doing a lot better than last week. Glad to be back after a week hiatus of a pretty bad sunburn, really. Just made me sick as fuck, but, you know, we're sunblock kids. Yeah, don't
like
do that. Yeah, so just glad to be back.
Yes, sir. I have to agree. Feeling pretty good to be here. Excited. I'm excited to get this 32 countdown list we're going to get into, where we count down all 32 franchises in the NFL, ranking them all and everything. As soon as we get Reed back on here, we will start that list for you guys. But tonight, we got, of course, some NBA Finals talk. Game 5 going on as we speak. Probably about to start the fourth quarter, if I'm not mistaken.
Pretty soon.
So, yeah, Celtics whooping that ass. Of course, being a Celtics fan, I'll touch onto that a little bit. And then we're going to get a little bit into the Royals. We got some NFL headlines, and we might get into a little Dynasty first-round draft talk. So if you're in a Dynasty league and looking for a point of reference just to kind of see where the landscape's at with a lot of people, now this would be a good episode to stick around and listen. You might get some ideas for how your league might draft if you haven't drafted already. I guess most Dynasty leagues, I think, normally have drafted by now. But if you haven't, if you're like us and you wait till normal fantasy draft season, we might have that for you. So I guess we'll just go ahead and start here with the Celtics. So with them up, what is it? It's like it was 25 when I was last watching. I was just up at Applebee's. I went up there for 50-cent Mod Sticks and Dollaritas, but they ended both those specials. Like kind of got digged on that one.
Yeah. Love me some Applebee's.
Yeah, 82-65. 2.5 minutes left to go.
Seeing 86-65 now. Yeah. It's updating quickly now.
Probably not that.
Yeah, it's good for Boston, man. It's their year. Mavericks were just really overmatched, man. And Boston defensively just had better depth. Just a better team won.
Absolutely. And it's funny. We did actually, for those listening, try to, me and Brady get this recorded last night, but had just tech issue after tech issue after tech issue. I think we tried to do this like 4 times last night, 3 or 4 times.
Yeah.
And every time it was just a tech thing, and eventually it just got late enough. We're like, all right, fuck it, we'll do it tomorrow night. So it was funny, though. We were talking last night before the game had started, and, the series wasn't over like it pretty much is now.
Yeah.
And before Game 4, I typed up this whole thing about, it's good to get banner 18, be a couple chips ahead against the Lakers, since they got the Disneyland championship that doesn't count.
Jesus Christ.
And then I was going to go on about, we got everyone re-signed, locked up, bring it back, run it back next year. The East is ours. And then I was gonna ask, and honestly, just from the little bit of this series I did watch, because I honestly didn't watch a whole lot of it, been pretty busy, but I saw Luka get pretty bullied, even tonight a little bit. Just not even bullied, he's just a defensive traffic cone. And he kind of shows up a little bit sometimes. He can play some okay defense, but he's just is not a good defender. Kyrie kind of looked like he was getting bullied by Drew. So I guess my question is, like, obviously as a Celtics fan, I feel like we're just that good, but are the Celtics really that good, or are the Mavericks just like not that good / Luka can't defend for shit?
it's well, more of like the Celtics are that good, but I will say it's not a lack of skill for Luka on the defensive side. It's a lack of effort. He is more than capable of being an average to an above average defender. He doesn't have to be lights out. He just doesn't have to be a complete sieve. And you can kind of get away with it a little bit if you're Steph Curry. You can just drop bombs like that, but that's a whole different player. No, Boston's just really that good. When you have that good of defensive wings to be able to just rotate and throw at Luka and even Drew Holiday here and there, and how good they're just very well built to stop an offensive team like Dallas. Really, Dallas is young and they have some growing up to do. They need to learn to play on both ends of the court. But props to Boston. They deserve it. I think they're just that good, though. Even if Dallas was putting in more effort on the defensive side of the ball, I think Boston's just more talented. And it's just their time finally.
Yeah,
but
it's
they were
nice.
hitting their
Yeah, been waiting a hot minute for this core, but it is exciting to finally see the result we've been waiting for what feels like forever. Finally get a title back in Boston too. I guess though I will just say when I was talking about everyone coming back next year, honestly, if we win this title, I definitely see Al Horford retiring on a high note. I don't see why he would want to run that back. He's getting old, and it kind of shows that he's getting old. I could definitely see him calling it a career. I think does he have one more? If he has one more year on his contract, maybe he finishes it out. But I could definitely see Al retiring at the end of this year, which is what it is. He's never been my favorite Celtic, which is a very unpopular opinion among Celtics fans. Most Celtics fans like Al Horford, which I guess it's not that I don't know. His sister just on Twitter used to always talk a lot of shit.
He was an
like
Atlanta
Al
Hawk for a while,
And
it's kind
just
of
the way she did it was like, "You're not playing, girl." Like,
yeah,
and it kind of rubbed me the wrong way for a while and kind of turned me off Al Horford.
I've been a fan of Al Horford. I appreciate his game. He just does all the things right, And for a veteran, how long he's been in playing, and how successful he was in college too, he deserves a ring. So
it is a really nice basketball career that he's had, especially capping it off with a ring. Absolutely.
Yeah, if he retired, that'd be fine, but I think he's more than capable of playing another year or two. He's solid, Hit you an open three, can defend, rebound, pass a little bit. Shit, in his prime, man, he was really good.
Yeah, him and who was the other dude, the other big guy right next to him? He was the power forward back when people still had two big men.
In Atlanta?
Yeah, who
was it?
Paul Millsap, was it?
Paul Millsap.
Yeah.
So they had
him and Paul Millsap
Jeff
were a nice
Teague.
little big man combo.
It was Jeff Teague, Kyle Korver, Joe Johnson.
Maybe I feel like he might have been his prime years, anyways. I feel like might have been just a tad.
Hold on, I'm about to look up this.
But I might be wrong.
Hawks roster. Yeah, it might have been.
Because Joe Johnson, he's pretty old now.
Yeah, he is. Let's see. Who was I thinking of? That's not right. Was it?
I'm trying to think. Atlanta Hawks roster.
What year was I thinking of?
Well, let's see here.
Not to get too off topic.
Al's 38. Do you really think he's going to play a couple more years?
Maybe another year. So that Dennis Schroeder backing up. John Collins played on that team. No, this isn't
What year are you
else.
looking at?
I'm on the wrong. Damn, that's
I'm
gonna
looking at
bother me.
2014, 2015 right now. And
Okay,
it's
maybe
got
2016.
Paul Millsap. It's in a really weird order. Dennis Schroeder's on here, and Jeff Teague, Babo Cephalosha, Mike Scott, Adrian Payne, Mike Muscala, Shelvin Mack, Kyle Korver, John Jenkins, Tim
Okay,
Hardaway
Gary
Jr. might
Neal.
be who you're thinking of.
I was like at 2016 here. Yeah. Yeah.
Jarrell, Eddie, Kent Bazemore.
So when did
Elton
Joe
Brand.
Johnson last play for Atlanta? I guess he went to Brooklyn at the end of his career too. God,
Yeah,
oh
yeah,
jeez, he last played for
He got a bag
Boston
out of
2
them.
years ago, dude.
Who did?
Joe Johnson last played for the Boston Celtics in 2022.
How old
Do you
is
want
he?
to know what? Oh God, so he's 42 now. He would have been 40. You want to know what he was averaging?
Damn.
2 points a game.
Probably nothing good.
Yeah, he probably wasn't
2
playing
points
much.
a game, yeah.
So
Yeah.
he played for Atlanta. Okay, he last played for Atlanta in 2012. Okay, so I had eras mixed up a little bit. And then he played for Brooklyn for a bit, which he was still pretty good in Brooklyn.
He was alright, yeah.
Yeah, he was so clutch, man. Not to get too far off topic on this basketball talk, but yeah. I needed to know. I didn't know he got drafted by Boston.
I didn't know he got drafted by Boston either. That's interesting.
First round, 10th overall, played a season or two there, then ended 20 years later with Boston. How crazy.
All right, well, I guess we'll go ahead and move forward here, and we'll get on to the Royals now. So, since we last talked about the Royals here, I actually didn't look. Do they play tonight?
Royals?
You should look that up real quick.
Yeah.
But since the last time we did
I wanna
talk,
say they
they lost
don't.
back-to-back series against the Twins and the Padres. Then they split a series against Cleveland because their game got postponed because of weather. Then they took a series against the Mariners before they lost 3 straight against the Yankees, who sadly look pretty good right now. And then we just lost a series to the Dodgers, 2-1.
So,
Man,
we
a
play
lot of
the
people kind of
A's.
jumping off the Royals bandwagon right now, but I say, go ahead. They were already exceeding expectations, and they still are, as long as I feel like just try to maintain a 500 pace into the All-Star break, get rested
Yep.
up, and come back strong, make the playoffs, and whatever happens from there is all just icing or gravy on the potatoes, So,
yeah, they have a favorable series coming up against the A's starting tomorrow. So that should be.
So they're off today.
That should be. Yeah, starts tomorrow. I think it's a 3. I want to say it's a 3-game series. Maybe it's 4. Yeah, it's a 3-game, and then we'll play the Rangers after, starting Friday. But yeah, we should win at least 2 against the A's. I know they're pretty bad, but it's hard to win all 3. But
Yeah, it's hard to ever expect a sweep, but
Yeah.
definitely hoping for at least 2 games there. Maybe get back on track a little bit.
absolutely.
But yeah, personally, I'm not too worried about the Royals. I think the people that are jumping ship right now are jumping ship just to drown in really shallow water.
Pretty
because,
much.
Like it was never that deep to begin with this year, anyways. Like the expectations weren't there. So, I think if you told most fans going into that Dodgers series that they would be just 2 games off the Dodgers, they'd ask what happened, how many Dodgers got hurt or something like that, instead of thinking the Royals were that good. So far this season to me is still a success. But we can go ahead and move forward here from the Royals. And before we get into the Dynasty trade talk, we'll start into some semi-old NFL headlines. I mean, there's more. I heard freaking NFL Live talking about it just the other day. Aaron Rodgers again being gone and whatever. And to me, it's a non-story from everything they say. The coach knew it. Yeah, he was aware. It just sounds like really bad planning by him and the Jets as an organization, which a little bit of a preview into our rankings. I don't have the Jets very high. That's very typical of them to me, just to kind of not be run very well like that. So, yeah, to me, it's just really a non-story. You hear stuff like this every year, and then nobody talks about it in October and November. Even if that guy's playing bad, nobody's talking about mini camps and OTAs. So, I'm not real worried about it. What do you think, Brady?
As far as where he's at in his career, no, it's not a big issue. Let him do his drugs in peace. You know, and on a real note, though,
Man's got to do what a man's got to do.
I mean, it's not training camp yet. So if it was training camp, then that would be okay. A little red flag.
Yeah, that's a red flag. Agreed. That's a red flag.
But
Absolutely.
with this OTA mini camp thing, no, it's a non
For a 20-year veteran, like
he's 40 years old, man. Like, and I'm sure, like, he was out, a week or so ago practicing with the team, and it's not like he hasn't been there. I mean, he's still probably recovering from his Achilles injury, so.
at least in a little bit. I think I heard a little bit something about that. Like Breece Hall said something. In an answer to a reporter said something about Aaron getting back to 100% still or something like that, which
I don't think he ever will.
To me that means probably more just getting back into like football mode, as maybe like 100% back into like football movement and stuff like that, as opposed to like 100% health. Because even if he did like the regular surgery and didn't do the weird surgery, he would still be on track to be coming back right about now. So, and he was practicing at the end of last year too. So if it was really that bad, he wouldn't have been.
I'm not saying it's not that bad because it is a pretty serious injury at his age too, but
absolutely,
he's probably
from that perspective
have a longer
recovery
than
recovery
usual.
standpoint.
Yeah, I mean, fully.
I feel like he's probably at this point as recovered as he's going to be. Realistically, if he was practicing at the end of last year, you would think with the extra months and extra time to work out,
I think he's fully healed from the
be.
injury, but I don't know if he's fully in football shape to support that injury right now. Like, you know what I mean? Like, that's he's probably building himself up and getting there. It's you can't simulate football shape when you're not playing in games. It's just. You can practice, but once you're in there, it's different. So I'm sure he's just slowly building up, and he's still got all summer to get acclimated. So he's not. Yeah, it's a non-issue.
Yep, I agree. And here, kind of a similar thing moving forward with Alvin Kamara. He actually was at all the camp. But then just didn't show up the last day or left during the last day. I'm still not real sure. To me, that one's a little more weird. Probably still nothing and a non-story. I honestly think the Saints probably going to end up paying him because he's still been productive even at his old age, and because Saints just not another spoiler alert, just not that great of an organization. But. I thought this one was a little more notable, but still probably nothing. What do you think?
It's probably more, like you said, contract type thing. It's not that big of a deal. I think they probably will come to an agreement. Probably not exactly what he has in mind, but something where it's fair on both ends. And he's there playing, and I don't think he's trying to waste any more of his football prime. I wouldn't know if he's in his prime still, but. Football playing career
on the
left,
tail end, but I think
so.
Kamara is going to be one of those few backs that I think like him and Derrick Henry might end up being like this generation's running backs that can keep producing a little bit longer.
30s, so
I mean, the position's not dead. Some dudes are still trying to hold out for them. I guess we'll actually see, because if Derrick Henry comes out this year and has a bad year. And potentially the best scenario offense he's ever been in, He realistically should tear it up this year. But I think Alvin Kamara could still have a decent year. Was still pretty solid last year. So for the Saints' sake, hopefully they can
It
get
really-
a deal done with him. I wouldn't mind
Yeah.
seeing him go somewhere else, though.
Yeah, it really helps that he's such a good receiving back. I don't
Absolutely.
think he has so much of the wear and tear of like just running a straight
Yeah.
up the A gap, and just taking
Yeah,
a beating.
getting pounded by Aaron
Yeah.
Donald, no homo.
Yeah. Not to say he's
or-
not a lot, but yeah, it certainly helps.
or some defensive lineman, but absolutely not as much running the gaps as much as other running backs.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
Yeah. Yep. Moving forward here, last little headline: Trevor Lawrence and his contract. Man, I kind of get the deal for Jacksonville. For Jacksonville, I don't hate it just because it is Jacksonville. They got to do what they got to do.
Right.
But what do you think about it?
I completely agree. You do what you gotta do, and they're paying him as if like he's still gonna reach his potential. And I think he was heading there last year before he had a lower leg injury. Dude, I mean, he's got all the talent in the world, and with Jacksonville, and they're not the biggest market, but they got a good coach. They get the right infrastructure around him, and I don't have an issue with it. And contracts, that's just the market nowadays, and honestly, here in 2-3 years, it's going to look like pretty average.
A steal. That's exactly what I was about to
they're
say. In
gonna-
a couple of
quarterback's
years,
gonna be making
Dak
60
Prescott's going to be
mil.
making more. Fucking, there's going to be a
Yeah.
couple other young guys that are going to be up for new contracts. They're going to be making more.
Not to get off topic, but I'm curious to see what Dallas does if they're going to pay Dak that much and CD that much money. That would be very interesting.
Man, as a CD Dynasty owner, I hope to hell they do. But like,
Pay
it's just
both?
like
Yeah.
looking at the team and like analyzing it for their sake.
Mhm.
Like they would be so dumb to do that.
It
Like,
doesn't make sense. Like, you do that
You
if
can't.
you, like, absolutely have your other team kind of, like, on other rookie contracts and just cheap contracts that fill out. Like, you can do it with the Bengals with Burrow and Chase. That's fine because, you filled out the rest of your roster pretty decently. You got players on cheaper contracts. But with where Dallas is at right now, I just don't know if they can do that. I really don't.
Yeah, and they have such a good team around the rest of it. Why would you tie all that money into Dak when you could probably just get a quarterback for cheaper than you have now, still get decent production, draft a running
Vikings
back,
fan-
sign a cheap running back, and then you've got all this great team around it.
As a Vikings
I don't know, they might
fan
be able
who's
to make it
had, as a Vikings fan who's had elite receiver after elite receiver after elite receiver, you take the franchise quarterback, bro. Like, you just do.
I'm saying like, but is Dak the franchise guy that's going to win them a Super Bowl though? You got to think about that.
I think
too.
he's talented.
And
I
I'm
think
saying-
he's talented enough.
It's
I
probably
think-
possible if he had the right team around him. But, like, where I'm thinking at it is, like, so I'm kind of thinking they should employ, like, the current, like, Viking strategy where, like, they've got this great team around there.
Mm-hmm.
They just had to bring in a good running back, and they did that with Aaron Jones. I still think Aaron Jones has got some productivity left within him. And you got Ty
Mhm.
Chandler behind him, so your running back room is decent. And you got the flyer on the young, still fairly young, quarterback with potentially high upside, but is probably pretty mid in Sam Darnold. And you got the
Mhm.
first round quarterback too.
Yeah.
And they're probably spending less on quarterback right now than Dallas is, and they probably
Oh, yeah.
have close to I don't know, the NFC North.
Well-
I think is going to be kind of hard to win this year and hard to get a playoff spot out of this year with the Lions and Packers in there too, and
Yeah.
with the Vikings having a rookie quarterback. But if
So-
JJ's good or if Sam Darnold is good now that he's got a better opportunity,
Yeah.
they have just about as good opportunity to win a playoff game as Dallas, and that's spending a fraction of the money at quarterback.
Yeah. Let's get to off topic. I really do like the direction they're going with how cheap quarterback is, and the young talented receivers that they have. Like, their offense is fucking loaded. Just filling out defense, and they're going to have like the 5th most cap space next year. They are eating a lot of dead cap this year with Kirk's contract. But yeah, maybe Sam Darnold has a resurgent year and then he gets to go play for someone else for a couple years, or how maybe JJ McCarthy just impresses so much. But yeah, I think that would be the strategy for most teams is you really want to get cheap. Like, you can't pay everyone all that money, you know, you got to get cheap somewhere. And
Yeah, absolutely.
And
I think the thing about a lot of these markets too is they're going to correct themselves over time, and it's going to come back to a point because the cap doesn't increase at the same rate as the market currently, and that's going to have to correct itself at some point because the cap is the cap, and you can only make so many exceptions. So at some point, teams are going to have to stop and say, we can't just keep paying these receivers this, 15% of our payroll. We've got to be more economical at the receiver position. And I think a situation like if Dallas does re-sign Dak could bring something like that around, just because it'd be an example of the rest of the league. Like, look what happens when you tie all this money into these two positions. The rest of your team is ass, and you don't do shit. So the market always corrects itself in football and in real life. So and honestly, the Dak deal might be what sends the market back the other way, in my opinion. I believe
it's kind of
just leave Trevor Lawrence at that.
Would you say Dak's better than Trevor Lawrence though?
Right now?
Yeah, right now.
Yeah, probably. Yeah, probably.
Yeah, for sure.
Trevor's upside, I would say,
higher,
is probably
for sure.
marginally higher.
You can't deny that, but yeah, right now, just straight up, I think Dak's a better quarterback.
Dak's
right
balling. You can't take it away from him. He's balling.
That's
right
what I'm
now.
saying,
I mean,
man.
it helps
Like,
when you have the second, third best receiver in the league. That helps a lot.
and you also have Marty Schottenheimer's son, offensive coordinator, running the show.
Yeah.
Get that man a head coaching job here soon.
Yeah, probably.
Love to see it.
Yes, we do. So let's go ahead and take a real fast break, and we'll be back on the other side. All right, and we are back on ZBR. Zach and Brady here, ready to talk some Dynasty or first round Dynasty draft stuff. So,
Yes, sir.
I know a lot of Dynasty leagues have already drafted, but we haven't. We're drafted more towards traditional draft season. I'm commissioner, and that's just a personal preference of mine. That's one of those things that I said as commissioner, we're just doing it this way.
I actually like it that way too, just for, injury purposes, depth chart, you kind of see where these players are at.
Yeah.
And also,
and some would argue it's Dynasty, that's part of it. It's not a redraft. But for me, I don't care. I'd still rather just wait for towards the end of preseason and stuff
Yeah, not to get too off topic, but I was talking to Reed about this specific thing today, and he's like, because he's targeting a certain player in the second round, and he's like, man, he's getting steam head because I wish the draft was earlier, because I was like, dude, I actually like it, but I get what you mean, because, excuse me, there's a couple players in the I want to sign or draft later in the round, mid round, so I'm like, could they be available there? And I don't know now, man. But I love it.
It's at least a couple times a week, I'm scrolling through Twitter and I see something about, one of the... And we, for the listeners, we are doing, while this league has already been going for a year, it was a startup last year, we are doing a 14-round draft this year because we expanded positions, we added receiver. Did we add another flex spot?
No, we added the third receiver spot. We already had the 2 flex spots and then the super flex. We added an extra 2 IDPs. And
So we added the receiver, the 2 IDP flex spots, and then we already had 1 defensive back, linebacker, and defensive lineman, and so we went ahead and made that 2 for each of those. And then, of course, we increased the bench size and the taxi squad size, too. So we expanded. We're having a bigger draft in the second year than probably, a lot of people normally in Dynasty drafts might have, 3 rounds, 2 rounds, sometimes even just 1 round. But we are going 14, so that's just more draft talk, which is fine by me. I love talking about this shit.
Oh, yeah, dude. It's the best, man. I can't get enough of it.
So, I guess to start here with the first pick in the Hillary Duff's Prime draft this year would be the team formerly known on this podcast as Team 8, now getting run by Derek. Did he get a team name?
I think it's Derek L58. I'm not sure what that means. I think he needs to get a team name in there, which
that's just his username. Yeah, so he doesn't have one yet. Which, as long as he has one by the start of the end of the season, or the beginning of the season, I don't really care. Long-time listeners will note that is something I am pretty hard on about as commissioner too, is having a team name.
Well, I mean, it's not a lot to ask for,
It's really not, especially in a long-term league.
And why wouldn't you want to?
In a redraft league, it's maybe a little picky, but I feel like in a Dynasty league, it's totally fair.
In a redraft league, I can see why, whatever, dude, but, in a Dynasty, and why wouldn't you want to anyway? It's fun.
Yeah.
Just makes it...
You gotta personalize it a little bit.
Yeah, you can even add your logo, too. Come on.
So, Derek's squad here, he's interesting. I'm just looking at it.
Mm-hmm.
He swapped Saquon into his RB1 spot and Christian McCaffrey into his RB2 spot.
I don't look much into that.
I do. I look a lot into that, honestly. I look a ton into that.
Don't look on my team, then.
It either means a lot or it means nothing. It's one of the two. Honestly. It's either he's like, I think McCaffrey's on the downhill or something like that, and I think Saquon's about to have a really good year, or
honestly,
he just was moving stuff around. That's just how it ended up.
You would think so with, they're about the same age. No, dude, McCaffrey just got a new contract. They both did, but I am more confident in Christian McCaffrey than Saquon.
Absolutely.
With injury. Saquon might be the most physically talented, but McCaffrey is just so good.
McCaffrey's fucking...
Yeah,
I know.
He's
physically impressive. He's quite nasty.
Yeah, he is.
Saquon, I'm not taking anything away from Saquon either. But Derek's roster here, obviously... Good running back situation. You just heard us talking about his 2 running backs. His quarterbacks, he's got Matt Stafford and Deshaun Watson. Potentially some decent upside there, but you'd really like to have some more depth and maybe a young guy there.
I really like his receiving room. Dude, he's got 5 solid receivers with George Pickens on the bench.
Yeah.
Which leads me to believe that he would take quarterback, personally, but... God, man.
Yeah, and I think he would be kind of silly not to. And so, I guess what we're trying to do here is kind of predict who we think he's going to take. So, I guess, do you think he takes Caleb or do you think he takes Jaden?
I don't know how he feels about Caleb Williams. But the more I'm looking at his roster here, I mean, dude, he's solid at receiver. I mean, he could just take Marvin Harrison Jr. and not think twice about it and go quarterback in the second round if one's available. But
I think there
there will be. But do you trust long-term Deshaun Watson and Matt Stafford? I just don't.
Not long-term. Matt Stafford, maybe for this age reasons.
Yeah. And then Deshaun Watson.
And I don't mind him for this year as long as he stays healthy. He should be just fine fantasy wise. He was just fine last year. And Deshaun Watson, honestly, kind of same thing. If he's healthy this year, he should be just fine there in your super flex spot. But that's also a big if. And it's also, he was kind of starting to show some signs of his old self there last year. But he's going to have to do it probably a lot quicker and a lot better this time around, honestly.
I would think, seeing how Caleb...
There's a lot of question marks there with Deshaun.
Yeah, I would think, seeing how Caleb Williams did play in the Big 12, did play at Oklahoma. He's seen a lot of Caleb Williams, and obviously he's heard a lot of Caleb Williams just because it was hype. I think he probably will take Caleb Williams. I think so.
Yeah.
If he doesn't, I think he takes Marvin Harrison Jr. I don't think he will take Jaden Daniels at 1. I would be shocked. I wouldn't be shocked because Jaden Daniels would probably be worth a selection there because his rushing upside too. But
And he's guaranteed. He's pretty much guaranteed to start this year.
Oh yeah. There's no way he's not.
And so if you're competing this year, it makes total sense to go after him with that rushing upside. But I think I agree. I think he would probably take Caleb too. So
Yeah.
I'm gonna keep track of these as we go, and I'll go ahead and put Derek with pick 1 down for Caleb Williams.
Yep.
So moving up to actually the second and third pick, we have you. So I guess I'll kind of let you talk through this one a little bit.
Okay, so I'd like to just touch on the trade me and Reed made prior to me talking about the second and third pick. I traded away my second round pick and a late round pick for Chris Olave, which he's a very nice, solid receiver. What?
Oh, you got to steal.
Yeah, solid receiver, especially when you're going 3 deep. I mean, dude, you can play 5 receivers deep every week. And God, dude, like, you can't get enough of them. So my thought process was, I'm thinking, okay, if Derek takes a wide receiver, one of the wide receivers that I like, at the first selection, that kind of has me thinking, like, well, I can't really reach for a certain player, so maybe I get the insurance of having Chris Olave filling, one of my good wide receiver spots, and I take another position along with another wide receiver, because one of those guys are going to be there. So yeah, that was kind of my thought process too. And if I get both of them, that's just gravy. And then I can just roll out a lot of receivers, and it makes up, with these receivers that you're able to play in these flex spots. You don't have to have the strongest running back room to
No, you don't.
succeed. If you have loaded receivers, you obviously want to have productive running backs. Not saying you shouldn't.
Yeah,
but,
absolutely. You don't want to punch position, but it's.
I look at running backs the same way I look at redraft and dynasty. Just I can plug and play them. Really, I mean, you obviously want to have a little consistency with he's gonna be there next year, but
the only thing I'll say to that is I think with the expansion of these teams and with a lot more players going to be taken up now.
Yeah.
I don't know how easy it will be to plug and play running backs as easy unless you already have them on your roster.
Yeah.
I think it's
fair enough.
something probably people are going to have to stay. People that want to compete anyways are going to have to stay. Probably drafting a running back or 2, or maybe even 3 each year, slapping one on taxi.
Yeah. Oh yeah. You definitely want to.
Year.
You don't want to neglect the position, but I mean, spending first round capital on one might be a little steep.
Yeah, first round capital, no, but I think, like first round, you're gonna vary year to year whether you want to draft.
Right, you might get a Bijan.
Maybe every once in a while you find there's that rare running back that's just like a Bijan that you take in like the first round because he's just that special.
Yeah,
but
and then young, especially in a dynasty league.
Yeah, and when you think about in like a traditional dynasty draft where it's more 2 or 3, maybe 4 rounds, like you don't have if you're building your team right because of the longevity of like receivers and quarterbacks, you don't have to draft those guys necessarily every single year. Like you can draft one when you're a really good position to take one and keep your stockpile going, keep it going. And then just kind of cycle out the running backs through the draft if need be, unless you've built up a good room that you feel confident in for a good year or 2. But I think going receiver right there is definitely the move for you. You've got a solid quarterback room. There are going to be, I think, some quarterbacks available even into the 3rd round potentially for you to draft if you want to score a third quarterback. There's actually a late round candidate that I really like. I'll just go ahead and say it. I like Spencer Rattler. Call me crazy.
In the 3rd round, you would take him.
I think the 3rd round. I
think that'd be a little steep.
In this draft, no. In a lot of other dynasty drafts, yes, in the third round.
yeah.
But in our
Just with how much
dynasty
talent,
draft, no.
yeah, with how much talent there is, man. I think taking Spencer
And how much IDP we have to draft, and just the expansion with all the rosters. I
And,
definitely see a guy.
and it would-
yeah.
and it would.
I guess I
vary
wouldn't be
from team
surprised
to
if he
team.
did though either.
Yeah, it would vary from
He
team
is
to team.
on my
too.
draft board, I will say, but he is definitely not third round. I'm looking to try and get Spencer maybe closer to like the 6th round if I can. If he's still available at that point, I wouldn't mind him. Just to break off topic real quick, Celtics are officially NBA Finals champs. Just got the notification, so shout out Celtics. Let's go. Banner 18 has officially arrived.
Well,
But back to
Finals
fantasy
MVP
football.
lately. But,
Yeah, it's probably
late to
Jaylen Brown.
Jaylen Brown, yeah.
But unless Tatum absolutely went crazy tonight, which I haven't looked at the numbers, I doubt he did though. But back into the fantasy football, I definitely think receiver is the way to go right there, because the Chris Olave trade was really nice, and now if you can go get who I think would be the two most the highest upside receivers for sure, not just long term but immediately, in Marvin Harrison and Malik Neighbors, because they're both going to be their team's wide receiver one instantly. They're going there to be that right away, and you're gonna get tons of targets right away. So and low-key, you're gonna find out if they're good or if they're bad really fast too, which. I mean, if they suck, wouldn't you rather find out within the first year than have it drag out over 3 years trying to deal with the dude? So, honestly, really just a good situation there to go receiver, especially with how strong you are at quarterback with Dak and Lamar. We already talked about Dak, and it don't got to explain Lamar's fantasy value either. So, I think the Chris Olave trade's really nice, and if you're able to get those two, I think you go from... where at the end of last year I had you ranked pretty low in wide receiver, I'd probably have you ranked definitely in the upper half of the league at wide receiver going into this year. So that's a really nice jump right there.
Yeah, so part of the process, and it's a slow process, but
yes, sir,
getting there.
And that's the beauty of Dynasty. It's a process. It's not just the redraft and stuff, and that's what I love about it.
Yes, sir.
I think there's some people they don't quite catch on. They just try to treat it like a redraft league every year, but I don't know.
Try to gotten better at myself.
Yeah, absolutely, same. But moving forward, we have Tree J, Watson's Dirty Elf here, with the number 4 pick in our draft. So looking at his roster, he definitely could use some running back help. I like his quarterback room. I think his quarterback room is sneaky, really good.
It might be better than it might be better than mine. Like Jordan Love and Patrick Mahomes. That you can't get a better combination than that, really.
Just Jordan Love long term looking like a great dynasty option. Patrick Mahomes is Patrick Mahomes.
Right.
And then he's also got Gardner Minshew, which if he starts this year, that's a great QB3 to have in a super flex league, honestly.
Oh, fuck
so,
yeah.
He's looking nice at quarterback right now. Yeah,
I think who he's going to take would probably either be Brock Bowers or Roma Dunze, personally.
I would agree as well, unless he
with a
really
sneaky pick
is
with Jaden
feeling
Daniels.
passionately. Yeah, I was going to say Jaden Daniels is right there, just because Gardner Minshew isn't really a long-term dynasty option. And especially in our league with the quarterbacks being juiced a little bit, having 4 quarterbacks isn't bad, especially with injury. And what if Gardner doesn't start and you don't have that good QB3 and Aiden O'Connell gets the job? So Jaden Daniels totally makes sense there. Roma Dunze and Brock Bowers do as well. Unless I also kind of skepticize. I think there are going to be people out there who really like Xavier Worthy.
Yeah.
And I understand it, because I think he might even get a little underdrafted just because he wasn't like a top draft pick. But you got to think he is still first round talent, and people weren't really talking about him being a speedster until he got to the combine and put up those crazy numbers. Now he's going to join Patrick Mahomes, and if a Rashee Rice suspension comes out before our draft, his draft value skyrockets, and I definitely think he's worth, especially. And
The
even in
only-
a Dynasty League, because Marquise Brown is a 1-year rental, so
Yeah.
really, if you get past this year, even if it is all 3, the upside for the dude, because he's talented and he's fast and he's going to an offense that they know what to do with that, like Tyreek Hill kind of fast guy. Like it just.
Yeah.
I
The only
definitely
concern I
like
have
him.
about him is he's smaller than me, but you know,
Is he
players
really?
of 6. Yeah. Oh, dude, he's tiny. He's like 165 pounds. Yeah.
How tall is he?
5'8", 5'9", maybe. I can look up actually right here, right now. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like, yeah, maybe, like, yeah, he's okay. Sorry, he's 5'11", so he's about your height, but he's
That's like my
160,
height.
165 pounds. He's tiny.
So he's basically my size, but instead of a little beer belly, he's probably tone muscle.
Very skinny, very very skinny, but
Yeah.
very fast. Yeah.
Yeah.
We'll
Leaner,
see
I guess
how-
I should say.
Yeah, so he is a bit taller. So he's about a little bit taller than Tyreek Hill.
And,
Yeah.
and he does work with Snowbone in our league, who is a big Chiefs fan. So I'm sure he's constantly hearing the hype about him, like, bro, Xavier Worthy.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
no, he's roommates with Snowbone. Excuse me, it's AB's
Okay.
Welfare who works with him. So honestly, he probably hears it even more than AB's Welfare
Yeah.
is working with him. So
Yeah.
I definitely think that's in play too. But yeah, any of those 4 I think is possible, but I would kind of think Romo Dunze or Brock Bowers.
Yeah, I'm thinking the same thing.
Jaden Daniels.
Yes.
He's got Njoku, and I know he likes Njoku because he is a Browns fan. And then he's got
Yeah.
Logan Thomas and Luke Musgrave. He's not drafting Brock
I
Bowers.
think the pick's gonna be Rome. I do.
Yeah. I'll
It's either
agree
gonna be
and
Rome or
go
Jaden
with Dunze.
Daniels. I think he needs Rome more than Jaden Daniels, in my opinion. I think Jaden Daniels would be the
I
better
agree.
prospect, but with his team needs, I think that's what he needs to do. Unless he reaches for Jonathan Brooks that early in the first round, I'd be comfortable taking him later in the first round, more like early second.
Yeah.
But yeah,
I don't think he would reach that hard on a running back, and if he
Yeah.
does, honestly, that's music to my fucking ears.
right.
Because
There's
I'm
just
picking
better
behind
players
him.
that
So.
fall to you, man. So
Yeah. Pass it along.
Mhm.
Leave my
Absolutely.
options open.
Yep.
Because I was I won't lie, for a minute, post Cade Otton trade with you, I was kind of thinking, well, maybe I'll draft Brock Bowers, and I did kind of move him there to the top of my draft board for a minute. But I just got to thinking about it, I was like, I just can't, in good faith, spend first-round draft capital on a tight end. Honestly, I know he's really good, and I know he's generational, but I've already got Trey McBride. I like Tucker Craft.
When
There's
you already
gonna be
have
other
Trey
tight ends
McBride,
available.
Yeah. God,
And-
he's
and there's-
so good though.
There's fluctuation in the market, and he's also going to the Raiders with
Yeah.
I don't want to say we were just kind of I'll just say it, not poor quarterback play, but probably not going to be good quarterback play.
Yeah, I would agree with that.
We like Gardner obviously, but he's more productive fantasy. Maybe make a couple of big flashy plays. He's not really like play to play. Get a guy all his targets, get him the yardage, get him the touchdowns kind of quarterback. And you got to remember Devontae Adams is still in that offense. Jacoby Myers is still there. They still have Michael Mayer, and they still like Michael Mayer too. So they already have another tight end that they like.
Yeah,
to me, I can't do it.
I
Dalton
feel you,
Kincaid maybe would have been a bit different. Just because he went to a team like Buffalo that has a good quarterback and a bit more of an established offense, I would have maybe thought about it.
Well,
but
had the
still-
Rams successfully traded up, because it was rumored the Rams were trying to trade up to 10 to take Brock Bowers, then I would have been really comfortable taking Brock Bowers. Because, you have Stafford
I
and
would
all
love
that
Brock
offense.
Bowers in the
Oh,
Rams.
man.
He would instantly
Imagine
produce.
this.
Oh my gosh, yeah.
Imagine the single coverage you would get with Cup and Puka already.
Puka, yeah.
Oh,
he'd
man.
be eating all
Oh,
day.
dude. Yeah.
He
it
would be eating, and
nasty.
you know Matt Stafford's gonna get him the ball.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Right in the
Oh yeah, I would be so high on. I probably would. There's a good chance I might draft Brock Bowers if he went to a team like the Rams.
Oh, 100%. It's really, yeah. Yeah.
I don't know though if we're going off our current draft board, if I would just based off who's available. But we'll get into that here in a second, just because we already know who's coming next. We got Reed, who's not here to defend himself tonight, so we're gonna really dig into his team.
Yeah.
So he's got the 5th pick here. He is next up on the draft board, and we'll go ahead and get the elephant out the room. Maybe we're bad friends for saying it out loud on the podcast, but I think more than that, he's a bad manager for telling us he wants to draft J.J. McCarthy. So
Yeah.
honestly, he needs a quarterback, so I don't hate that personally if I were him and I need a quarterback. I want to say I would take Jaden Daniels, but I do also get it. He is a Vikings fan, and it does mean a lot, so I guess I get the opportunity.
I get it from go ahead.
I was going to say, because his perspective, I think what he said was like there's no way he's going to be able to get him in the 2nd round, which I agree when it comes back around to his 2nd round pick. JJ won't be available. So it's either cough up the money now for your team's franchise quarterback now.
And if JJ does pan out, the weapons he has throwing to, increases.
He has a chance to go to a great situation too.
Yeah, it's really... He's in a better situation than, say Jaden Daniels, but Jaden Daniels has more upside this year right now because rushing ability. He might not have good.
Yeah, I wasn't trying to say Jaden Daniels going to a good situation.
Right.
My bad, but
No, I'm not saying that. I'm not saying that, but Jaden Daniels right now, he's guaranteed to start as JJ.
The better raw
learning,
prospect, probably.
Yeah, and he's he's
fantasy wise, anyways.
Right. Who knows? I mean, JJ McCarthy might turn out to be spectacular. Or he might be a bust.
Yeah, absolutely.
So who knows?
He's stepping into a situation where he's going to be a top 10 fantasy quarterback for a long time.
Now, to get into the real issue with his roster is how he got to this position, to number 5.
I'll let you tell the story because you know it better than I do.
It's just like he originally he was going to be drafting about 10 or 7. He traded one of his first round picks to Ty for T-Law. Then went ahead and traded T-Law away for another first round pick and a second, but then he got a second back away from me.
Was it already lower than the first round pick he would have had?
Mm-hmm. So not only did Ty, he's
5th now. So I guess he did.
No, he's higher now. Yeah, he did technically move up, but at what cost? Not worth it. He would have been 2 selections back and still probably would have got his quarterback ultimately. And with receiver that we're going so deep at now, he traded away one of his better ones, probably his best one.
His by far, bar none, his
Yeah.
best receiver.
Yeah,
Dude's receiver room is absolutely cooked. Absolutely cooked.
I can't. I can't believe he. Yeah, like for a 2nd round pick, if people think like, oh, it's a 2nd round pick, but I mean, like for Chris Olave and a 3 receiver deep league, man, and his receivers
when Chris Olave is already a receiver 1.
Yeah, Godwin and Najigba are fine receivers. I like JSN's upside. Godwin's kind of on the downhill of his career. After that,
neither one of them are 1 or 2 this year. They're both wide receiver 3s this year. After
those 2 receivers, he's got Wando Robinson on his bench, and A.T. Perry, who he's really high on for some fucking reason.
Who knows?
A.T. Perry,
I don't know.
He told me.
About to eat this year.
Yeah, he told me, he's like, I traded away Chris Olave because I'm high on A.T. Perry. I'm like, okay, man. Like,
yeah, and that honestly, when it comes down to it, I love Reed. That's the most Reed thing I've ever heard. He's like, I'm really high on this guy. Like, first round something. It's like, and it's just like, bro, this guy sucks. He's like, nah, bro, I'm telling you.
I'm telling you, bro. I can hear him now being like, I'm telling you, bro, this guy's gonna be good. And sometimes he's right, but then other times it's a guy like A.T. Perry that he's high on, and it is kind of funny. But yeah, Reed, to his credit, does know like all the like. He definitely knows more players than I'd say, honestly, probably close to anyone in the league. Dude knows a lot of.
He grinds
players,
on his
professional
IDPs too. Yeah, I will say he's got a good defensive player room too.
IDP, he's probably first or second in the league there. So he's locked up there, and
really he just.
Once he drafts JJ McCarthy this year.
Yeah.
Kind of opposite. Who had Gardner? Tree J. So kind of opposite of the guy picking before him. If Aiden O'Connell gets the starter, Reed's got Aiden O'Connell, and if Aiden O'Connell gets that starter job all year and ends up being QB3 to Jalen Hurts and JJ McCarthy, his QB room's not looking bad if that happens like that.
Yeah. He just kind of got stripped away with his receivers, and then running back after. His running back's okay. It's not the worst. Yeah, they're okay.
Yeah, if Devin Singletary's solid again this year, then he'll have an okay running back room.
James
not great,
Cook
but
is
not
a serviceable
bad.
back. Same with Drew. And he's got one of the better tight ends in the league, too. He doesn't have the worst roster. I just don't know if it's a playoff roster, personally. I think he is probably more of a...
His backup is Houston's backup tight end, though, at tight end. And I'm not saying, like, necessarily, like, skill or talent regression for Sam Laporta this year, but I think maybe like a little bit of some fantasy regression this year.
Yeah, I think it's just a bunch of regression with the Lions, though.
I think TD wise, he maybe doesn't go so crazy because like looking here, I don't know if he has another 3 TD game. He's got a 2 TD game in there. How many? I think he had 8 touchdowns here, 4, 6. Yeah, 8 touchdowns, which is a decent chunk for a tight end. And I know they want to get what's his name? Is it Jameson Williams, the receiver, or is that the Saints running back?
No, that's
okay, I get those mixed up. That's Jamal Williams. Okay, that's the Saints running back. I know they like Jameson Williams. They want to get him more involved this year. I think Khalif Raymond's still there for whatever that's worth. They got a couple of decent running backs. One of them can catch the ball, and then of course you got St. Brown still. Like I said, I think Sam Laporta is still probably a top 5 tight end, maybe 100% top 8, probably top 5.
For sure.
So I think you're still fine starting him each and every week, but I would like a little more depth, and I don't think he's going to be. Like Reed's got his nickname here, Travis Kelce's dad, underneath Sam Laporta's name. I don't think that's quite the case just yet.
No, definitely not.
But Sam Laporta is definitely a nice guy to have. But I said, I would like to have another backup there with him, which he could address in the draft very well. But he definitely needs to address receiver probably in the 2nd, 3rd, 4th, and 5th round if he can. Which the nice thing for him is while everyone's drafting IDP the whole time during those rounds, which or at least that's just kind of what I'm projecting. He's just going to be able to have a lot more pick with his offensive picks. So
100%. It's gonna
with a good draft, he could probably get a playoff team out of this. But right now, I think he's on the outside looking in.
Yeah, same. Hovering around the playoffs, but yeah.
All right, so we got J.J. McCarthy down for him, and moving on to the 6th pick, we got me. So still on the board, based off this, I guess mock draft. I guess it's a mock draft. What we're doing right now, a mock first round.
Pretty much, yeah.
Honestly, it's basically. Let me go pull up my draft queue real quick. I was looking at Reed's team. Get back in the draft room. Right now. I'm not going to lie, I was really kind of hoping you wanted to go receiver quarterback and that you were going to take Jaden Daniels or Caleb Williams. Because if you did that with those 2 picks, and for some reason Tree J, maybe he just isn't super high on like a Marvin Harrison, or really feels he needs to go get, I don't know, some other position.
I don't.
So I knew Reed was drafting J.J. McCarthy at the 5th spot. I'm like, if Brady were to go receiver quarterback, I'm really just hoping that Tree J doesn't draft Marvin Harrison. And then what if how crazy, tell me, how crazy would it be? I'm sorry, I'll let you go in just a second. But how crazy would it be if I could get Marvin Harrison with the number 6 pick?
Yeah.
After I just traded away the thing. I know it's a crazy long shot and obviously not going to happen
Right.
because you're probably going to draft him. But if you were to end up deciding, there's time before draft, you decide, hey, I'm actually going to go quarterback for whatever reason.
Yeah.
It wouldn't be impossible.
Yeah, I don't know if he did somehow make it past Tree J, do you think Reed would pass on Marvin Harrison Jr.?
For the Vikings franchise quarterback, I think he might. I think he might.
Yeah.
I think there's a chance, honestly. Because when are you guys going to draft another quarterback in the first round?
Never. Probably never. Yeah.
Exactly. It's going to be a while. Another good couple decades. Who was the last one? Christian Ponder?
Teddy Bridgewater.
Teddy Bridgewater, that's right.
So that would have been 2014,
right.
10 years ago. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, so...
About once a decade.
Good for about one a
decade.
decade.
If they don't pan out. If not, we're going to throw in some backup journeymans and sign a free agent.
So, I don't think it's crazy to say that he would. I think it's more crazy to say that Tree J would pass up on him at 4 than it would be Reed passing up on him there at 5. Honestly, I kind of think... really, as a Dynasty manager, I think that they'd both be crazy because I personally feel like you got to set aside that fandom and you got to take the best available player, not J.J. McCarthy.
Yeah.
But, he's sitting here at the top of my draft board. So if you decide to do our brother a solid and draft a quarterback,
hey, it's nothing's off the table.
My adrenaline, I'm telling you, if you were to go Malik Neighbors, then let's just say hypothetically Jaden Daniels, just hypothetically, as soon as I saw that come up on the sleeper app, no matter what I'm doing, where I'm at, my adrenaline is instantly gonna go from whatever it's at, let's say 1 or 2, to probably 20 on a scale of 10, and I'm gonna be sweating profusely, whatever I'm doing, and it's oh my gosh, Tree J, draft Brock Bowers, draft Brock Bowers, draft Brock Bowers, draft Brock Bowers.
It's really gonna
draft Odunze somebody else.
Oh, bro, I totally know what you mean. I have to have a backup plan for what Derek does, and honestly, that's if he does go receiver, which I'm getting my number 1 player anyway. Through this, I don't think he's gonna take Malik Neighbors. I don't think he's studied enough to form. Maybe he has. Maybe, if you prefer Marvin Harrison Jr., I'm not gonna fucking fight you on it because they're both that close. I just kind of prefer the other, but if he does take Marvin Harrison, I'm more than likely taking a quarterback. I don't think I'm gonna reach for. Roma Dunze would be interesting, but at 3, I don't know.
Yeah, and for his perspective, there's question marks with Roma Dunze. You got Keenan Allen and DJ Moore ahead of you.
Yeah.
You got a rookie quarterback coming in on his first year. New offensive coordinator. They got a couple
defensive
of tight ends
head coach.
there.
Yeah, it's just
a good running back room. They got 3 running backs they like, 2 of them that are good at catching passes. So
yeah,
especially for at least these first couple years, I see a very clear path for Dunze. Even if he is talented and if he's good and not a bust, I still see a very clear path for him to not be real productive fantasy wise.
At least right away, he could be a nice dynasty stash for years to come.
Oh yeah, absolutely. That's exactly what I'm saying. Give it 3 or 4 years. Keenan Allen gets out of town. DJ Moore gets older. Caleb Williams either matures, or they find a different quarterback if he doesn't work out. Whatever happens there. Definitely. But so all that said, realistically not getting Marvin Harrison, and with the people that are left on the board, I am taking Jaden Daniels, definitely. Even though I am already very set at quarterback, I'm in my opinion, I think I have the best quarterback room in the league with Joe Burrow, Kyler Murray, Kirk Cousins, Will Levis, and sneakily Jimmy Garoppolo. Jeez. So if
from top to
Matt
bottom,
Stafford, getting old to get
yeah,
hurt.
from top to bottom, yeah, I would agree. Depth wise, I don't know if you have the most talented quarterback of all that group, but you have from top to bottom.
Oh
just
yeah.
star power, depth, all of it. So yeah, I would
Yeah.
agree. I would agree with that.
Yeah. Like when I rank the quarterback room, there's like definitely like your two quarterbacks, your top two. I would say,
Pretty close. Like Lamar's
Yeah,
cheat code.
I'm actually
So
going to
Dak
give you
was
the edge
fucking
because
nuts
of Lamar.
too.
Yeah, and Dak has been nuclear the last couple of years, but we both know what Kyler can do when he's healthy.
Mm-hmm.
And I think I would probably keep him and Dak are probably ranked about the same for me, dynasty wise, probably redraft wise too. Honestly, fantasy. But I would definitely give you the edge, especially fantasy wise, with Lamar over Burrow there. But then like I said though, like you said, I got the depth with Kirk Cousins, got my young guy and Will Levis, got my rookie, and then got my sleeper in Garoppolo. So
Yep.
honestly, good chance I'd draft Daniels there. I was kind of thinking if he's gone, I might reach on Lad McConkey, honestly.
Oh, you would
We're being
upset
totally
Reed
honest.
so much. Okay, so not to spoil anything, but if you do reach on Lad McConkey, or if anyone takes Lad McConkey before Reed picks in the second round, which he's going before the second round, he's going to be pretty salty.
Yeah.
I
He's
was
going
like,
to be a
dude,
late first, early
I was
second.
like,
guaranteed.
don't fucking. That's also why I traded my second round pick. I was like, are one of these receivers I would be taking in the second round as good as Olave, and will they be there? Probably not.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Maybe
as good,
Absolutely.
but not.
And you got
there.
the surefire thing in Olave. You got a guy that you know is going to get you good wide receiver two. And it has a ceiling for wide receiver one production, yeah.
But he was banking on that second round pick replacing Olave, and I'm like, yeah, okay.
Yeah.
I mean,
Good luck.
yeah.
Can't count on draft picks here.
No.
But yeah, I honestly, if Daniels isn't there, I might go ahead and go McConkey, just because he's another one of those guys in just a great spot to be wide receiver one, instantly get peppered with targets from Justin Herbert. But I don't think that would happen. If it were like between like him and Odunze, I really don't know. I might go McConkey still, just because
He's got Justin Herbert throwing
right
to
now.
him.
Yeah, and just where I'm at as a team right
Yeah.
now. If I were a rebuilder, maybe I go Odunze, just because long term he might have the higher upside. But I'm trying to get a receiver that's gonna produce for me this year.
For sure.
Sort of, I don't want to call it a redraft mentality, but I'm in win now mode with this dynasty team. I've got the pieces I need to be in win now mode. I'd be pissing it all away if I was just sitting back like, oh, wait for next year, and then before you
Right.
know it, CD's past his prime, Joe Burrow's 32 and whatever.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm all in right now because you're never gonna win if you don't go in. So I'd really like McDaniels, and then realistically probably try to do some trade with a quarterback after that. I don't know who it would be. Probably ideally Kurt, just because he is the oldest.
Right.
But Daniels could potentially fetch a good bag, and if the bag was right for Daniels, I might be willing to part with him. And I mean, honestly, aside from Kyler, they're all kind of on the table. And I would say Kyler is available, but I think outside of you, I value him way higher than everyone else in the league. I value Kyler as easily a top 10 dynasty QB right now. Probably close to top 5 in redraft, if I'm being honest. I don't have official rankings, when healthy, but especially now that he's got weapons there, coming back healthy. I'm really high on Kyler. So, I mean, probably try to work out a trade there. But I'll go ahead and officially pencil myself in for Jaden Daniels here. And then we can move on to the 7th pick, who is Ty with the New York Diversity hires.
I think it's pretty
Man,
obvious
this,
what he needs, and that is quarterback.
Oh, really? Okay, I was going to say tight end. I was going to say he seems like the prime candidate to draft
I mean,
Brock
yeah,
Bowers.
he would be, obviously.
His tight end the only tight end on his roster, actually, I'm pretty sure, just retired.
Yeah.
Yeah, it is.
But man, after Geno Smith, which is Geno Smith, your quarterbacks are Daniel
absolutely.
Jones and Sam Howell. Dude has the worst QB room in the league, probably.
Yeah. The one thing he does have going there is that he does have a handcuff for the handcuff for Geno, so he has the guaranteed starter there, which to me he has a guaranteed QB2 with that. Listeners of this show know I like Daniel Jones, and I think he's going to have a better year this year. Not that I think he's like about to lead them to some playoffs or whatever, but I think fantasy wise, statistically, I think he's a high end QB2 this year. Honestly,
Could be.
but that's just my opinion. But yeah, he really could use a quarterback. Let's look at the rest of his team here. How's he at running back? He's got Bijan, he's got Josh Jacobs, he's got David Montgomery. So he's sitting all right at running back. He doesn't got to worry about drafting one of those for this year. If I were him, I would just worry about running back next year for sure. Unless one just absolutely lands in his lap like Jordan Brooks falls.
He's got
like,
Zay Flowers on his
further than
bench
it
too,
should.
so his receivers are fine.
He could use. I like his group of receivers. I just feel like he could use a true star there to really solidify that group. Calvin Ridley maybe has that potential if he's still Calvin Ridley, and if Will Levis is good, then he might have that. And Nico Collins is really nice too. It's quarterback and tight end.
Yeah, agreed.
Man, I think if I'm him, I'd probably go Brock Bowers and then try to swoop around and hope like Bo Nix in Denver. Right. Yeah.
He's got 2 first
Bo
round
Nix in Denver.
picks.
You think he will be?
He'll be there, but he also has 2 first round picks as well.
Does time?
Yeah, 7 and 10.
Okay, yeah, okay.
So he might just
if
take
I'm
quarterback and
Ty,
tight end. Yeah.
I
Bam,
would definitely
bam.
go Brock Bowers, then quarterback at 10. Is what I would personally do.
Thinking about that now. Brock Bowers and QB, and he's set. I may have to skim through these last couple here.
That's cool. We can knock him out. Who we got at 8?
Is it the Conquistadors or is it Nolan?
No.
Shit. Nolan.
No, it's
Yeah,
Victor.
it is.
It's Victor.
Oh, it's Victor.
Because
Yeah, it is.
Victor's got my 8 pick.
he
Let's go look
does,
at
that's
Victor's
right.
team real quick. He needs, pretty sure he needs a receiver, doesn't he?
Well, I traded him Jacoby Myers, so I know he has him on his bench.
Yeah, he's actually not terrible at receiver.
His quarterbacks
He could use a third.
fine.
Yeah,
Two
I think he could use a
Brock.
third.
Yeah, Desmond
Because
Ritter's
Desmond
obviously
Ritter
not
is
gonna
3 right
play.
now.
He's got 2 good tight ends. Yeah, he probably needs a receiver or quarterback, really.
Yeah.
I would probably say receiver, just kind of load up at that position. And there's going to be, if Xavier Worthy's there at pick 8,
I was about to say
Victor's
it's gonna be
taking. Yeah.
You know Victor's going for the Chiefs receiver. You already know.
Yeah.
So we can go ahead and put him down for Xavier Worthy and go on from here. So for 9, that one is Nolan. Picking at 9. So looking at his team, he needs a quarterback. He's got Tommy DeVito at QB1 right now.
He's got C.J. Stroud.
And Aaron Rodgers.
Nice.
Oh, he's got
And
C.J.
Aaron
Stroud. So he's just got Tommy DeVito there trolling.
He's got decent tight ends. A decent tight end. I don't know.
He's not drafting a tight end.
Yeah, no.
And there's not especially not in the first round.
I think he'd probably take a receiver, a quarterback, maybe Jonathan Brooks.
I was about to say, I could actually see him going Jonathan Brooks here.
Yeah, that actually kind of looks like the, because he has Miles Sanders, who's the other Carolina back. Yeah, I'm thinking if Miles Sanders is there at pick 9, I think he's taking him. I think that's where he goes.
Yeah, I kind of agree there. So I think, we'll put him in for Jonathan Brooks.
Okay. And then Ty, we obviously touched on him taking Brock Bowers and the quarterback, so probably
what quarterbacks do we have available still?
If let's say if he took Derek took Caleb, and then Reed took JJ, you took Jaden, so he would have Drake May. It would be Drake May
or Bo Nix.
Or Bo. I would like to think that he would take Drake May. I think he'd be silly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I could also see him go Nix just because he will start.
Yeah, I don't know about that either, but dude, if you come out of the draft with Brock Bowers and Drake May, man, what a first round, dude. What a first round.
That's a great first round, yeah. We can go Drake May here for 10.
Yeah. So then 11.
Although personally,
you
Patriots fandom aside, I might go with where my team is at. If I were him and it were my team right now, I might go Penix in that spot just because he will compete. Or not Penix, I mean Bo Nix. Just Nix, not Penix. Just the Nix. I might go him because he's got a better chance to start right away. Yeah, in my mind, he is a second-round pick, but I think you can argue Drake May kind of could be too, personally. So, moving to the number 11 pick, we got AB's Welfare, arguably the best roster in the league.
Yeah, probably.
Whatever he drafts is just going to be gravy on whatever position he goes.
Best player available. If Dolan doesn't take Jonathan Brooks, he will fall to AB there, just to load up on running backs. I think he's got decent QBs. I guess he could take Bo Nix as his third QB behind Josh Allen and Baker Mayfield, because he does have Kenny Pickett, but he's not going to start over Jalen Hurts. So,
and I could actually see him going quarterback there and feeling pretty confident in all the spots there.
Yeah, I don't see Bo Nix possibly.
Yeah, I think we'll put down Bo Nix here.
And then Carson.
And we'll go 12 to round it out. Carson to finish the first round. Now, here is honestly, I think Carson could use a receiver if I'm not mistaken, right?
He's got A.J. Brown, Brandon Ayuk, Keenan Allen. I don't think so. Let me see his bench. I guess he could use Tyler Boyd's on Jerry Jeudy too. He's probably all right at receiver. He could take another. Honestly,
I could definitely see him going Ladd McConkey.
Yeah, honestly, load up on receiver or take a. Does he need a quarterback? J. Herb and who else? Derek Carr. Yeah, I could see him taking. I could see him taking Bo Nix if he's there, or.
But we just took Bo Nix, so.
Yeah, so I'll say Ladd McConkey.
That's kind of what I'm thinking too. He definitely screams.
Or Brian Thomas, one of those receivers. You got T-Law throwing to Brian Thomas, so that's definitely an option too. But yeah,
I think we'll go Ladd.
Yeah, let's go Ladd.
That way we can get this wrapped up as well. But we'll do a quick rundown on this list here. So with the number 1 pick, we had Caleb Williams. Then we had Brady going back-to-back with Malik Neighbors and Marvin Harrison Jr. You were talking about Ty finishing with a hell of a first round. If you walk away with both those guys, that's a goated first round right there, honestly.
Yeah. We'll see if they pay him.
We got Romo. Yep. Then at 4, we got Romo Dunze going to the Watson Dirty Elves. Then at 5, we got Reed, a.k.a. Titletown Bearcats, taking J.J. McCarthy. And then we got myself, the Toronto Stains, going Jaden Daniels at number 6. Brock Bowers at 7. Xavier Worthy, number 8.
Jonathan Brooks, number 9, Drake May, 10, Bo Nix, 11, and Lad McConkey, 12. And that is me and Brady's Hillary Duff's Prime first round mock draft for this year. Definitely actually going to save this file right here.
Yeah, definitely do
and
that.
come back and look at it and see how close we were. Because honestly, I think
It'd be crazy
if Derek ends up, if Derek goes Caleb Williams, I'm pretty sure the rest of it's pretty kind of already set, honestly, at least until through Xavier Worthy. Jonathan Brooks with Nolan is kind of where I start to go, I'm not so sure, but up through there, I feel really confident with our list.
Yeah, I think so too. I'm pretty confident all the way up until about pick 8. No, actually pick 8, I think he'd take Xavier Worthy because I think Ty would take Brock Bowers. So yeah, we're at pick 9 is where it gets interesting. Yeah, we'll see. Someone could throw a surprise in there and, fuck
absolutely.
it all up. It could really get fucked up at 4,
I mean,
Roma Duzzi might not go up
Victor
4,
could say, I'm not drafting any more Chiefs players, which I don't see that coming, but you never know, he could.
Yeah.
Maybe Derek throws a bone or throws in a wrench at the top of the draft and throws everyone's playing off. I don't get Daniels. Reed doesn't get McCarthy. You don't get both your receivers. He can screw it all up for everybody.
That's probably how it's most likely going to go.
Yeah. Bro's going to go Jaden Daniels, number 1.
Yeah. I go, well then. Fuck. Oh, yeah, I'm just
I
excited.
personally wouldn't blame him, but
Yeah,
but that is our mock draft. Everyone, thank you for tuning in. Thank you for hanging out, especially if you made it this far. Hopefully get all 3 of us back in next time. Should be back next week, and hopefully if we all 3 are back, we're going to get started on our countdown of the 32 all-time franchises, just ranking them on who's a good franchise and who's a bad franchise. There's dog shit franchises like, the Bengals, and there's good franchises like I hate to say it, the Chiefs.
Yeah.
So we're gonna go through and we're gonna rank all those franchises on. I think I have like 10 metrics I rank them on, and actually, I didn't realize until today when I was typing up the last of my my thoughts on it and whatever, and I was like at the number 2 team. I was like, I didn't take stadium into account on this at all, and I probably should have when I'm talking about franchise. So I will go ahead and say my rankings didn't include stadium rankings, although if we're going to end up waiting until next week, I might go ahead and factor that in this week, although
I didn't
I
factor
really
the
don't want to
stadium.
type up this 3 more pages again.
I didn't factor in stadium, but that is a good thing.
Okay, all right, but that makes me feel better. I won't go back and change my shit then. I'm going to go back and change it all the time. I'm not doing all that work again. I did at some point in there reference when we do this list again in like 6 years. Maybe then when we do it, I'll mention stadium.
For sure.
Okay.
For sure.
Good, but thank you again to everyone who stayed and listened. If you want to follow us or subscribe anywhere, we're on all the podcasting platforms. Subscribe on YouTube. We really need to hit 50 subscribers so that they'll allow us to start live streaming, which when we did part of our technical issues last year and we were trying to do like actually a live view of us while we were talking, I thought it was actually going great and was going to be a real boost to the content. So if we can make that happen, I think it would be a great boost for the show. If you want more of Brady, you can find him on X or Twitter at Brady Feldkamp. You can find me at Zach Got That Dog. And if you want to find some of Reed, I guess you're not getting more of him, but find some of them. You can find him at MINN_sportsfan. All right, for Reed, who we bullied enough without being able to defend himself here. For Reed, for Brady, and for myself, Zach, this has been ZBR. Thank you guys for listening, and we'll talk to you again soon. See ya.
All right, see you guys.
Shitbag lizard people.
My bro's QB2 is Aiden O'Connell.
Fuck Sean Payton.
Actually, when you add up the pick value, when you crunch the numbers, who the fuck's Jennifer?